Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick, here with you as always, and thanks for joining us for episode number 123. So, this week, now I typically don't do the flavored whiskeys, as you all know, or anything liqueur mixed with whiskey or something else. But when it comes to Jack Daniels, they tend to do pretty well with their flavored whiskeys. So, what we've got for you today is pretty new on the market. It's only been around for about a month now, I think, at least in the markets that I've found. But it's the Jack Daniels Tennessee Apple. So obviously it's a huge craze all over the place of the flavored whiskeys. Jim Beam has some. Get yourself some classic Fireball. Fireball's not for me. And like I said, I typically don't have these too much. But the weird thing is that when I do buy a bottle of them, I go through them pretty quickly. They are really good. So I don't know what it is. It may just be sort of a thing that I like going to whiskeys and don't want to say that I enjoy flavored whiskeys or liqueurs or something like that, because they're pretty good, I've got to admit. So maybe I just need to put down some of my pride and just get some more of these, since they are really good. And everything that I've had from Jack Daniels, like the Tennessee Fire, Tennessee Honey, those are all really good. So what we've got here is 35% ABV. It's mixed with apparently real apples, if you can believe it, and the standard Jack Daniels Old Number 7. So that's all there is in there. There's no ratio of how much to what or anything like that. So it's basically just how you try to enjoy it. Now, they say it's best served chilled, and so you can probably see the glass is a little bit cloudy because I've kept it in the freezer for the review to serve it as they suggest. But typically, the first couple glasses that I had of this, I just poured straight from the bottle, room temperature. And that's typically how I like to drink it. Also, it's nearing the end of October, so really something that's, freezing cold is not the type of beverage I'm going for. So I tend to keep it room temperature if possible. So on the nose is obviously green apple, just hits you right in the face. It's more like a candied apple. It's sort of got if you remember the Warheads, and you go for the apple flavor, the sour apple flavor. That's initially what I'm smelling. It's just real pungent, in your face. I looked at some other reviews, and I know they say candy apple, and all these are subjective, but it's very different from candy apple because it's a sweet, it's just a spry, young, tangy, sour, just right in your face, sort of like the candy that I mentioned. It's almost like, well, if you've had the Warheads, you probably in later years had the little liquid bottles that they had. You could just put like drops, or in my case, the whole bottle at once. And that's really sort of the sense that I'm getting from this, which is interesting. So let's go in for the taste. I think the reason that I don't drink these more often is because of how, I know this is weird, but filling they are as a whiskey, flavored whiskey, because there's such a, it's almost a syrupy type taste to it. And whenever I taste something like that, it makes me want to, well, it seems like you should add that to something. So maybe if I had this, I would add it to some Jack Daniel's single barrel. Might be interesting. It might be, I don't know, a little interesting mixing it with the rye. If you can get the barrel proof rye, that might be good with this. But I guess if you're the type of person who likes the flavored whiskeys and liqueurs, that this would be good for you. But I think it would really hit home with the folks that are mixing it for different cocktails or other mixed drinks, like I said, with whiskey. But I mean, you're getting, right off the bat, what I'm getting is just the green apple liqueur. And it's really hard to pull apart any of the whiskey, the Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey component to it because it's just really strong, really overpowering. I guess in sort of the aftertaste, there might be a little hint of the whiskey, just a little pepperiness in the back, but not that much. I would definitely take some Jack Daniels and make my own sort of ratio of Tennessee apple to JD, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting one if you're going to sit there and sip it. What I like to do, though, if I were going to sip it, I'd just pour it over some ice. Not that this is, too warm because it's been in the freezer the whole time, but it's nice to sort of just pour a little bit over the glass or a lot. Whatever you want to do. Probably milk this one well into the evening. But I guess for a little change in pace, it's nice to have something chilled, I suppose. Doesn't really go with the season right now. Interesting, this release, I guess with all of their flavored whiskeys and liqueurs, it seems like they advertise it or market it as, best served chilled, I believe. It says somewhere on here. Enjoy chilled. So we are enjoying it chilled. Now, the interesting thing about this for the whiskey connoisseurs out there, people who are focused on typically just whiskey and are, a little bit shocked that we're doing this in episode 123 because I typically just do, regular whiskey. But the typical fact that there's only 35% ABV in this, you may be curious as to, kind of see it on the side, the color of this. It's a bit odd. And I know with the frosted glass it's a little bit different, but even if you sort of brush that off a little bit, get some of that stuff off, you see that it's actually pretty rich amber color. There's a deep rust coppery tone to it. And that's because there's caramel added to this. Caramel coloring in it. Which is interesting, right? Because a lot of you folks might be thinking that they don't add that to the whiskey here in this country. But there's actually some different rules on doing that. The flavored whiskeys definitely can. And if it gets exported out of this country, they can also add colorant to it. So just a little interesting tidbit there. And you'll find out if you look on the bottle. Oh, there it is, right at the bottom, sort of in the little border there. Caramel colored. So there you have it. That's episode number 123. If you've gone out and bought this and really like it, let me know. I think it is good, on the whole, if, the right customer for it. I'm probably not the right customer for this, but it'll be good to experiment a little bit and see if it's actually good with a really high proof whiskey or bourbon. So might do that at some point and share. Might not. Might just fill the bottle and, get rid of it. So anyway, if you're going to drink responsibly as always, and we'll see you next time.